Boys and girls, today I'm going to teach you about character motivation. And you're thinking, what is that word motivation? Maybe you've heard that word before, maybe you haven't. But in terms of reading and to become a better reader and understand what you're reading, you want to find out why characters do what they do in the story. What is their motivation? What are they going to get out of it? So let's think about it for just a second as yourself. So, has there ever been a time where you wanted something, and so when your mom gets home, or your dad, or whoever, the whole house is clean, or you've done your chores, or you've put your things away before even asking? And your parents might say, "Okay, what do you want?" And then you say, "Oh, nothing." But deep down inside, you want to get on and play Fortnite, or you want to go over to a friend's house, or you want to go to the movies, or you want to do something. So that's your motivation. Why did you clean the house? You didn't clean the house just because. You cleaned the house because you wanted something. And so that's the motivation, the why. The why characters behave the way they do. Why do they act the way they do? And so today we're going to talk a little bit more about character motivation. So for this lesson, we are going to think about last week's story, and we're going to think about Pig 4. So remember, character motivation is, why is the character acting like this? So we have our anchor chart here, and here are 4 questions that I want you to think about as we talk about Pig 4. What do they want? So what did Pig 4 want? What do they need? What does she need? How do they feel? So how does your character feel? How does Pig 4 feel? And what do they think? What is Pig 4 thinking? So let's go back and look at the play from last week, thinking about Pig 4 and what her motivation was. So here's the play. And it starts with Pig 1. "We won't go outside, not anymore." And I'm just going to skip down to Pig 2. "Go away, wolf, go away from our door." And Sister Pig says, "I'm no wolf, I'm your Sister Pig 4. The door opened a crack, then it opened wide. "Get in, there are bad wolves outside," says Pig 3. And then Sister Pig says, "Oh, pooh, there are no wolves in sight." Then Pig 1 says, "Yes, there are." The narrator says, "They said as they slammed the door." Then Pig 2, "Keep still, now everyone hide." And then Sister Pig, let's pay attention to what she says. "Why hide? You should all go outside. You can't spend your whole life just sitting and shaking. There are places to see and things to be making. You could build a canoe or go out and buy fudge." And then they go back and forth. They're like, "No." And then she says right here, let's pay attention to what she says. "You're hopeless." So she's like giving up on them. She's saying their hope is hopeless. So the sister huffed and puffed, and she blew their house down. So that's important. That's something that she does, right? Okay, so as soon as the dust had settled, Sister Pig said, "You see, there are no wolves out here." The boys peeked out what was left of the wall, and there were no wolves in sight. No wolves at all. So the pigs are like happy, "Hooray, yippee." And then the narrator says, "The boys get some fudge, then they built a canoe, then they climbed up mountains enjoying their view. And as for their sister, the darling pig 4, oh, the daring pig 4, sorry, she traveled. She knows there are worlds to explore. If only you're willing to open the door." So that's the story. Now let's go back and see how it ties into character motivation. All right, so thinking about this first question, what did Pig 4 want? So when I think about the story, I think about Pig 4, and I know she wants her brothers not to be afraid of the wolves. So let's go ahead and write that up there. So she wants her brothers, not to be afraid of the wolf. Okay, her brother's not to be afraid of the wolf. Now, what do they need? So what does Pig 4 need? And when we think about the story or the play, we know she needs to convince the brothers to have some confidence, right? That's what her purpose is. So that's what we're going to write here. Convince the brothers to be brave. Okay. And then I go down here. What does she think? She thinks they're hopeless, right? She tells them that. She thinks, oh, Pooh, you're hopeless. So she's thinking that her brothers are hopeless. And finally, how does she feel? So at the end of the story, they talk about her being daring and traveling. So how does she feel? She feels good. Feels good. Why does she feel like that? She feels good because she helped her brothers be brave. All right, boys and girls, so this is our anchor chart on character motivation. You're going to read the story, Martina, the Beautiful Cockroach. And then you're going to do the little activity that comes along with it, and I'll give you a guided practice on that as well.